car crackdown. An excessively loud vehicle can get pulled over, and it can also get you a ticket.
Bizarre way people change their exhaust system that could set off panic in the streets.
Modified exhaust systems serve no purpose other than to create fear, chaos, and intimidation.
Police are certainly cracking down. Neighbors who live here are fed up with the noise. They're tired of hearing this.
Sounds like freedom to me.
You know, when I jump on my sim rig, I kind of feel a little bit like...
we're going to talk a little bit today about some of the things that I like. And as you guys know, I'm California attorney Michael Eline, and I am licensed to practice law in California and Nevada. But I'm an old school Californian, grew up as a surfer, grew up with all kinds of modified street cars, built 327s and 320 and 350 Chevys in the garage with my dad, and used to drag race, used to go to the Pomona drags all the time. And I've seen California turn from a free state into the thought police state with all these nanny state representatives that I believe represent like the Orwellian Leviathan. And I've seen since I was basically, I think in kindergarten, you know, that all these politicians keep in their crony billionaire friends who like to play with little children, always saying that it's the end of the world. The icebergs are going to melt. It's the end of the world. We need to get rid of all these gas cars and put everybody into 5-minute cities and restrict their freedoms. And if you're a free thinker or a critical thinker or like to have fun and you're a nonconformist, well, you're an enemy of the state. You're a potential domestic violent extremist. And I see all these young guys like how I was. It was just normal that you drag and you have fun. My dad drag raced on the 22 freeway, as you guys know, and the police used to come and watch them drag race. And so now we're going to talk about state ref and what that is, and about how California, like, even after millions of people have fled the state and Newsom lost $28 billion unaccounted for, I guess, that was supposed to take care of the homeless problem or something. We just have them continually trying to find ways to fleece their citizens and get as much money from them as they can to keep on propping up all these completely failure leadership politicians. Hey, what's up, LM Gibbs? I love it. Let me go ahead and kick this bad chicken off really quick, and we'll get into it. I got some really cool stuff to show you guys today. You guys are going to have a good time on this show for reals. All right.
To another edition of Ask Michael Eline.
Real proper life.
To another edition of Ask Michael Eline. This is where I. To another edition of Ask Michael.
I have this thing.
To another edition of Ask Michael Eline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel.
All right, guys. So basically, just so you guys understand, I'll just share something really quick with you. So I got this call from this dude who he races rice burners. That's what we call Japanese cars, rice burners, and Japanese bikes. We call them rice rockets, and then we call American cars like muscle cars and stuff. So I got a call from this dude, super cool dude. He's the dude who sold me my first GIAC, which is a chip. I won't tell you what car it was for, but it enables you to put your car in like valet mode or chauffeur mode. Valet mode for like for the valet guy to park your hot rod without blowing the motor. And then they have race mode with, where you want to put the high octane fuel in there. And he reached out and he's like, Mike, I need help, man. I got this ticket. They want like $5,000. I'm like, for what? He's like, I got state ref that they're sending me out to a referee. All the mods that I did on my car, they're saying they're not valid mods, blah, blah, blah. They're not in compliance with Newsom's new standards. And they're just fleecing me, trying to get all this money. And they're doing it to all my friends, and they're targeting us and they're pulling us over all the time now. Young kids, and people wonder why people are fleeing California. So it goes back to what I was talking about. All these billionaires who like to be around little boys and stuff, like Scott Wiener, these guys up in San Francisco, they pass all these draconian laws to take away more and more of our freedoms and our individual rights. And one of them is the right to travel. And I don't know about you guys, but I think it's cool to have a modified car with a cool exhaust. When I see these billionaires flying back and forth to Davos, putting more carbon and emissions into the atmosphere than any rice rocket or rice burner or muscle car could ever do. It really, really irks me. And it tells me that there's two systems in this country, one for the billionaires and their politician friends who want to control you and I at the World Economic Forum, and then the ones for us, which are really not that much, right? We don't really have that many laws that protect us. And even the laws that do protect us, the way they're arbitrarily and capriciously enforced, we never know that we can rely on them, which is why I'm an advocate of creating parallel systems so we can escape this great Leviathan where these people are just constantly targeting us to create their system of control, which is exactly the opposite of what our founding fathers wanted. And so this will be a great example that I can share with you today. It's not really a cop watch video, but if you are a cop watcher or a police auditor, man, these are your natural allies, these guys who modify their cars. And so we're going to get an opportunity to watch one of these guys getting pulled, several of these guys getting pulled over. But I wrote this really cool article on my website, elinelaw.com. It's called California Loud Exhaust Pipe Laws and Out-of-State Registered Vehicles. And we'll go through it a little bit as we're talking. I've got all the law broken down. And I even have the CHP attachment that they're issued. I kind of pulled a BZ watchdog here. And I got the information bulletin from the California Highway Patrol as to how they enforce these loud exhaust pipe laws. So I got a lot of really cool things to share with you guys. And hopefully I can bring in a new community of these young boys, you know, who are out there hustling, having a good time, working their butts off so they can afford cool mods for their cars. But I recommend all you guys who are in California who want freedom, probably you should leave, especially if you have children. But if you want to stay, watch this video because you'll learn a lot. So this first video that I'm going to show you is this really cool kid, man, young guy. He gets pulled over. You know, he likes his ricer. I don't like ricers. I like American muscle and German muscle, like Audis and stuff like that with V8s, with four-wheel drive. But whatever. I still think if you're into modding your car, you're still cool as hell. And anytime I'd love to race you. You know, anytime, man, I'd love to race. So let's go ahead and watch this bad chicken, and we'll stop and we'll go through it as it goes. Make sure you got plenty of volume, and here we go.
All right, guys, so hear me out. Let me give you guys a little backstory. The flashback a year ago, this one cop decides to accuse me of doing donuts in my car when I was taking pictures with my friends. Accuses me that my car matches the description of this car doing donuts, this and that, searches my car, searches me, all based on a false accusation of my car.
Hello, my name's Officer Marquez,
How's it going?
Police Department. You have your license, registration, insurance with you?
Yes, sir.
We had several callers reporting vehicles matching your description doing donuts.
I would see all the tire marks there, but we're just hanging out, taking pictures.
Okay, but it is reckless driving to be doing donuts, and I can tow your car. Okay, if I pat you down for weapons?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you guys think so far about this stop? This kid's in his car. Cop goes to his door and says, "You look suspicious. Get out of your car so I can pat you down. Do you mind?" So how do you think Chili would have handled that? How would BZ Watchdog have handled that? I want to know in the comments, like, how do you think the different personalities would have handled it? How would a Chuck handled it? How would have Long Island Audits handled it? Tell me what you guys think. I think this kid handled it the wrong way. I think he's trying to be nice, right? Because you're trained to be nice to these guys, but he's basically participating in an investigation against himself. Let's keep watching.
Fast forward about a year later, so I was driving this car with my girlfriend on the way to a little weekend getaway. Decides to pull me over on the freeway, you know, completely obeying speed limit laws. I was simply just cruising with my girlfriend. He decides to give me a state ref on the STI because of my cold air intake. This dude's really searching my...
All right, so just really quick, guys. So state ref means state referee. So if any of you guys are like from my generation, when you like normal people, right? Most of you guys, if you're dudes like me, you always did cool stuff to your Chevys, right? You put a blower on there, supercharger. You know, you might made up a Ford rear end to your transmission, so you have, you know, because it's a stronger rear end. You would always do cool stuff to your cars, just normal. But now we got these nanny state mother effers like Newsom that are just completely destroying the state. They passed the Safety Act, so parents no longer have any control over their kids. Now the public school teachers that are straight out of a woke university, right? They get to decide whether or not your kindergartner identifies as the opposite sex or not. It's ridiculous. And they're doing the same thing with your car. Oh, your car identifies as being too loud, so we need to give you a ticket and take your car away unless you give us $5,000. They're just constantly just all over your business. Now, this one is under the guise of exhaust pipes are too loud. We got to, oh, it's just such a terrible thing, blah, blah, blah. But it's really just about generating money and taking away your rights, privileges, and immunities as a citizen, as a free thinking person. I mean, it's just ridiculous in my opinion, but we'll keep watching and see what's going on with this guy.
Freaking hood.
Do you have?
Yeah, he needs a trifold, that's for sure.
Is that right there?
Citing you for a few things, okay? First one is the 2 plates required.
You need to get him a trifold, guys.
Mounted to the front. Get that taken care of. And also the window tint. This one's extremely dark. And then reference the intakes. You need to have a carb sticker. So with that being said, I'm citing you for the modified emissions violation. So it's a state referee certification is required for that.
So yeah, it gives me a state ref. Asked it around, you know, I was told by many of you guys as well as the courthouse that I can just pay the fine on a state ref and that the car will be clear, no issues. You know, I can move on with my life. So that's what I did. I paid the fine off on my first state ref with the STI. Fast forward to now, he pulls me over once again in the STI. This is the same exact cop, and he gives me yet again another state ref. Not only that, but he decides to go the extra mile and do much more stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys watch the video. It's a crazy one, and I don't know, I'm kind of speechless at this point.
Real quick, I just want to say hi to everybody in the sidebar who's joining me. Hey, thanks a lot, World Citizen News Network. I appreciate you coming in, man. Let's OTVO. Hey, give me a bunch of FTVOs and a bunch of ones for celebrating the release of Chile and how amazing that is. And for all you people that he made agreements with and that he made promises to before he got locked up, please be patient with the guy. He hasn't been able to generate an income in over 4 months. So try and understand that. If you had gotten locked away, would you even be able to keep any of your promises? Would you have been able to? Think about that. Now, and then I guess the really funny thing about all this, guys, and this is why me and pretty much all of my Marine friends and Navy SEAL buddies and guys that are, getting out of the military have all fled California. Even if you have jobs there and businesses there, everyone's leaving because it has become the nanny state. They basically sound like this.
Where are your papers, Mav? Where are they? Oh, you don't have any papers?
So basically, the only thing that you have left now in California are like poor people and all the illegal immigrant peasants that have flooded into the country under Biden. And the wealthy people and the job creators are all leaving. And there's really just like poor and rich. It's basically like the Mexican pre-party's dream. Like if you ever wanted to have a single party system, California is the perfect example. A couple of rich people and then millions of poor people on welfare. It's the perfect thing. The problem is all the people paying for everything have all decided to leave because they're sick of it, right? I mean, they try to say that crime has gone down because they've reduced all the penalties for violent crime or made violent crime no longer a violent crime under their penal codes and statutes, but it's at an all-time high if you have brains or you're a critical thinker. So this is kind of what's going on. To the concentration camp with you unless you flee California. So we'll get back into this. I want you guys to watch this and let everything that I just said resonate with you, because this is really sad. What a terrible thing that's happened to our country, that a young man can't even modify his car and have a good time without being harassed. When my dad was growing up, the police used to come out and watch him and his buddies drag race their cars in the 22 freeway. In fact, I told you guys this many times. He was buddies with one of the cops. His name was Johnny Yuma. Whenever we saw a cop, my dad would always say, "Hey, it's Johnny Yuma." So I just want you to think about that, how community policing has changed into almost like a Broom Hillary style policing, where you're not allowed to do anything unless the state agrees and allows you to do it. Here we go.
Kind of crazy how I'm literally being targeted by one single cop and pretty much harassed. So enjoy the video.
Cool kid, by the way. We got to get him a tripod, though.
Is there a reason why there's like 3 cops?
So have you gone to the state referee yet?
I paid the ticket off.
But did you go to the state referee?
No.
No? Have you made an appointment with them at all?
No, I didn't.
No.
I mean, I was told that I could just pay the ticket off and everything would be fine.
Okay, so here's the setup, okay? Because I'm a lawyer, I can kind of tell you a little bit about the law. So basically, here's the kid. He's, again, participating in an investigation against himself, allowing the cop to just obviate any type of rights, privileges, or immunities the young guy has. And he's like, oh, did you go to the state ref yet? Well, the kid probably doesn't know that just paying the fine's not enough anymore. So Newsom and his bunch of hooligans who want to destroy your life and destroy your ability to support your family in California have decided in their abundance of non-wisdom that not only do you have to pay the fine, but you also have to go to the state ref and have the car looked at as well. You can't just pay the fine anymore. So this kid's on his way to probably jail. I haven't watched the whole video, so let's just watch it. This is crazy, by the way, guys.
Fine, so.
By who? By me?
The courthouse.
If it's okay with you, could I have you step out of the vehicle?
Is there a reason or no?
Yeah, I just want to talk to you outside of the vehicle. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Before you, do you have any weapons on you? Anything that
so you see that guy? So he just basically participated in his own demise. That's why you never, ever, ever talk to the police, ever. You pick up the phone and you call your lawyer. You call me, right? That's what you do. You don't talk to these guys. You hand them your license and your registration. Like Chili says, you could say, I wish to invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And if they want to ask you more questions, you could say, hey, look, I want to help you out, officer, but I want to have my attorney present before I answer any questions. You could do that. Now they might get pissed off and crazy, but man, you're filming, dude. You're filming. So grow a set of testicles and carry out the process. This guy's already agreed to get out of the car. He's already basically admitted that he's in violation of the new law that says not only do you have to pay the fine, but you also have to go to the state referee. So let's keep watching.
No, I don't have any.
Can I pat you down for weapons? Is that okay with you?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Go and step out for me. Yeah, so when I pulled over the last time, you turned in a very specific advisements. One of those is that you shouldn't have been driving the vehicle. So, like I mentioned, you can't be driving the vehicle until you have the C referee certification.
That's right. So this is big bucks right now. Now, keep in mind, guys, law enforcement is suffering in California, right? They are really hurting for money. Nobody wants to join the police, number one. And number two, it's harder and harder for them to make their false and illegal arrests because of all you auditors. And so now they're targeting the younger generation. These guys, they're not very intelligent. They don't really know their rights. They never were taught critical thinking by the public school system. They've been taught basically to bend over and spread their cheeks because the government can do no wrong. And then they start modding their cars and they get a little taste of freedom, right? Like our founding fathers did. These guys are our target audience. These guys, these street racers, motorcycle riders, anybody who's a patriot who loves freedom. These young guys right here are the next generation of politicians who could potentially return us to a constitutional republic. But if we keep electing these nanny state people who keep passing these absurd laws like your motor vehicle exhaust is too loud and stuff, or they'll take your car, we're looking for some serious trouble. But the police and Newsom basically have created a whole new generation of patriots and they don't even know it. Let's keep watching.
Right now you are under arrest.
Okay, so you see he's under arrest, but before we get to that, I want to share with you something about the motor vehicle code law in California. Although an officer does have to have a warrant to search you, unless, of course, there's some kind of exigent circumstance, right? They just make whatever up. At least it's a basis for you to seek a motion to suppress evidence later, right? You don't have a right to deny an officer, or at least the CHP in particular, the right to check the equipment on your vehicle, which means you got to pop the hood, let them check your brakes, that kind of stuff. So they do have a right to do that under the vehicle code. Now, many, like, the sovereign citizen movement says that only applies to commercial vehicles, of course. And then there's another side of the sovereign movement that says, well, all vehicles are commercial and that's why you have to have a license unless you don't have them licensed, and then they're not. But either way, all those arguments, where do they end you up? They end you up in jail. I mean, none of those arguments are really successful unless you live somewhere like in, like maybe Montana, where you have a
a local sheriff who respects natural law. If you don't have the right sheriff, all those laws will apply and you will end up in jail. So let's just keep going and keep watching.
2800A, which is disobedience to a traffic officer. So let me read you your rights first, and then.
Who arrested this guy?
Yeah, so
you saw what they did, right? Okay, so these guys are like, they're like revving his motor. They're trying to listen to his pipes to see how loud they are. I don't know if they have a decibel meter, but they're supposed to. But they're just a bunch of a-holes messing with this kid. This is why so many people don't like cops. But in particular, we saw how officers are trained. Hey, where you headed? What's going on? Hey, you mind if what do you think about this? Hey, you mind stepping out of the car? Hey, you mind stepping into this meat cleaver? Hey, you mind if I throw you into a wood chipper? Let's keep watching.
So this is what happened, okay? So I explained to you last time when I pulled you over, I cited you for modified emissions. And when I explained three very specific things. One was that this vehicle, specifically this one, should not be driven on a public roadway until you have this thing certification. Do you have any other questions for me? Do you understand this? I should be impounding your vehicle and I should be taking it.
All right. So, okay. So again, do you understand this? Okay. So that's super, super important, because if you understand the nature and the cause of the action against you, you are deemed to have acquiesced. Okay. So you should always, always, always demur and ask for a lawyer. Okay. If you don't understand the charges, the clock's not ticking, guys. And so it's super, super important for you guys to know that. That's why I'm on this channel, man. I'm so worried about you guys after what happened to Chile. And I know, that the government is targeting people who support the Second Amendment and legal immigration. The current administration is all part of this big globalist World Economic Forum thing where they're trying to make us all live in 15-minute cities and not be able to have a car. So guys like this young boy right here are absolutely the enemy of these guys, these Learjet lunatics, right? That like to play with little children at Epstein Island and direct our lives. Let's keep watching.
I'm going to exercise a little bit of discretion, sir. I'm not going to take you to jail. I'm not going to impound your vehicle. I'm going to allow you to drive it straight home, but you should be driving the vehicle and all that stuff, okay? So I'm citing you for the modified emissions for your cold air intake. And do you have no cats? You have cats. Again, anything else that's modified, they're raw.
So do you guys know what cats are? So cats are like catalytic converter. So typically my cars, I'll run catback exhausts on them. So, at least you still have your cats, for emission standards, but obviously you want to run straight pipes and you want to have a nice sounding cam, and you want to do it right. You don't want to drive around some stupid battery powered car, man. You want to have a badass muscle car, or if you have a racer, at least do it right, man. Supercharge it, put a cool turbo. Look, I got nothing against Japanese cars. I've had plenty of them. It's just, being an American, I just like those muscle cars, the V8, because I used to build them with my pops. So to me, there's like an emotional connection with that street muscle. And of course, I'm jealous of all you Mopar guys and you Chrysler guys. So you guys can all go to heck, man. It's all about the Chevy. So let's keep going.
Valve, your tune is illegal as well. Everything is going to be inspected by a state referee. So I'm citing you for that, and then also for, like I mentioned, disobeying a traffic officer. That's a misdemeanor. So like I said last time, you have a few photographs that I talked to you, okay? Take your head off.
He's participating in letting him take his picture. No, absolutely not. See that? Dude, he's having all of his rights violated. He's just going along with it. That's the problem. He should be standing up for himself. That's the problem. These young guys, they just bend over because they're just taught, oh, I just have to do whatever the government says. They must know what's right. But they don't know what's right. They're just a bunch of punks who just were smart enough to figure out a way to con a bunch of people into voting for them and find some rich billionaire to fund their election. Let's keep going.
You're under arrest?
What does that even like? Why do you say that? He didn't even arrest me.
He was arrested.
He's arrested, but he's not arrested.
He was arrested. And how is he driving his car right now?
Got me for a misdemeanor, bro.
Misdemeanor.
For disobeying a police officer.
Can you believe that shit?
I'm confused though, because the courthouse told you that you could drive the car.
That's crazy, bro. He was really after you.
He is. It's weird though, because you called it too. You called it was the same cop.
You knew it was the same cop. Sound familiar, guys? Chuck Bronson, sound familiar? This is how police make money now, by destroying the lives of young men who are trying to figure out a way through life. Responsible young men. Puts a lot of time and energy into his car. Got a girlfriend. Got a job.
State rep and arrested.
Yeah, guys. Second state ref in the STI in the span of 2 months. Absolutely crazy. So yeah, what you guys just saw, I literally was almost taken to jail because of a cold air intake on my STI. Seems pretty ridiculous, I know, but that's just, I guess California laws nowadays. Yeah, not only does that suck, but that was the same exact cop that stay ref me in this car not too long ago, like one to 2 months ago. And he also pulled me over like a year ago, searched me and my car and everything, and accused me of doing donuts in the BRZ, which was absolutely a lie. This is the third time he's pulled me over. Now, this is not the end of the story. Less than 48 hours later, I want to say about 36 hours later, I was in the FRS, my other car, and I was on the way to work. It was about 5:30 in the morning, and guess what happened?
I wonder.
The same cop pulled me over on the way to work in the FRS. And at that point, I was like, okay, 4 separate times where I was not doing anything wrong. I was completely obeying the speed limit in every single whatever traffic law there is. And he pulls me over once again. 36 hours after he just gave me a state ref in the STI. He decided to search that car as well. I'll just go and put the clips in right here.
Unbelievable. So he's on his way to work.
Damn, dude, how many of these cars do you have?
Okay, so here's the thing, guys. There's something I really think you guys all need to understand what's going on here. So law enforcement right now, and I know this because I have several friends who are getting off the force on in several agencies, all right, in California. They're being trained to target people who drive nice cars or who seem like they have money, because they know that people who drive shit cars or broken down cars don't have money, and they typically don't pay their fines. They're usually illegal aliens, and they just have so many different names, it's impossible to get a collar on them. So they're going after established people in California, guys, who they think have money, because the police departments don't have money. And so they're going after these young guys right now who have nice things, who have regular jobs, and fleecing them. I just want you guys to see what a corrupt system we have. They passed these absurd draconian laws in California. They've destroyed the rights of parents and business owners, and that's why they've left. And there's nobody left to pay the bills anymore. So now they're going after anyone they can to try to pay for it. It reminds me so much of how Mexico was under the pre-party when I was growing up. Give me a bunch of ones if you guys remember how Mexico was under the pre-party until they finally got caught using those voting machines to fix elections. Hey, I wonder if somebody in California will get the hint and maybe stop using those voting machines and go back to the paper ballot. Hey, maybe something good will happen out of that, guys. Well, let's watch this video and see if something good comes out of this.
3.
What's up?
3.
3?
Yeah, I'm just heading to work right now.
What's that?
I'm just heading to work right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one's catless, huh?
Huh?
Smell it. This one's catless. Can I see under your hood?
Sure. Yeah, I guess.
Is it hard to pop or is it easy?
I have the 2 hood latches.
What's that?
I have the hood latches on the front.
Okay.
Do you know how to work those?
I'm not going to give you a ticket.
So thankfully, he did not give me a ticket. He, did his thing, searched my car once again, but he just let me go. Thankfully, one thing I have to note, which honestly kind of pissed me off, to be honest, called my personal phone with a no caller ID, And he had the nerve to tell me that my FRS is flagged and that I did not take care of my state ref that I got on that car like 3 to 4 years ago. And I have the state referee certification in my glove box in that car. So he literally called me, threatened to pull me over again if he sees me driving that car, because apparently on his system it is flagged and it's not cleared by state ref.
Okay, so I'm letting everybody know right now, if this guy wants to call me pro bono, man, I'll go after that cop. That's total harassment. That goes against department policy. That guy's way the F out of line. All right, let's keep going.
Which is complete BS. Yeah. So he pulled me over, decides to call me on my personal phone after, and he sends me an email of, I guess, the California website where you can search your VIN number up. At this point, to be completely honest, I feel like I'm just being targeted by this single cop right here and pretty much harassed, in my opinion. I feel like it'd be different, you know, if I was making a fool of myself and, you know, driving recklessly, speeding, being loud on purpose. But every time he's pulled me over, I literally was just normal traffic. I was casually driving to my destination. It's gotten to a point where it's literally been like harassment and I've been targeted. And I literally do not feel comfortable driving any of my cars in my area. It's really gotten to that point.
Well, I got a real easy solution for you, dude. Move, leave California. Why would anybody stay in California with a communist Marxist government like they have now? I mean, it's a joke. It's absolutely absurd. It's almost like New York or Massachusetts now. There's no personal freedom there. The only people who have rights are criminals, many say. So just leave, dude. Go to Arizona. Go to Arizona or a free state. Go somewhere else, man. What do you guys think? Give me a bunch of ones if you think that he should leave communist California as soon as possible so he can enjoy his life the way that God intended for him to enjoy his life, free of government interference to the nth degree.
Which sucks, you know, knowing me, you guys know me. I've never been about, you know, takeovers and, you know, driving reckless and being, you know, literally childish. You know, I've just been doing my thing, you know, on YouTube, you know, just making content for you guys. So yeah, I'm not too sure if I covered it in the previous clips, but yes, he did stay with me, as well as give me a misdemeanor for disobeying a traffic officer.
Bullshit.
Now, this is completely a whole different ballgame now, and this is going to be something that I'm going to have to deal with and figure out as time goes, because I've never gotten a misdemeanor. But just the fact how I got a misdemeanor because of cold air intake, it's just.
Yeah, and now if we can't get that misdemeanor handled and get a finding of factual innocence, he will always have that on his record when he gets pulled over on his Klutz report. The police will be at a heightened level, going, oh, we got a criminal here. Get your weapons ready. So it basically puts a target on his head. Whenever you have priors, guys, this is something a lot of people don't know. Those cops are looking at that and they're looking at you as a threat. Okay, as soon as they don't care what the prior's for. They just look at it as a contact. Oh, there's a contact. This guy's a potential problem. You better unbuckle your weapon. So give me a bunch of ones if you guys know that, and give me a bunch of twos if you didn't. I'm telling you, that is a fact. Let's keep on watching.
I don't know. I honestly don't know what to feel about it. Like, it's just, honestly, at this point, it's ridiculous. You know, knowing me, I've been nothing but respectful to this guy. I've been nothing but respectful towards law enforcement. And just going that extra mile to write me a misdemeanor is just ridiculous. Absurd. Now, the reason why he told me I am disobeying him is because I did not take the STI to the state referee the first time he gave me the state ref. Now, hear me out. I've asked many people if I was able to just pay the state referee fine once it comes in the mail. And I was told by, you know, a lot of people, and I was honestly told by the courthouse as well, that yes, I can just pay the fine.
And that's how it was. And here's the other problem. When you live in a society where you have so many laws, they're just nonstop crazy laws like that, you have no freedom because everyone's presumed to know the law, right? But if you have a freaking law passed every 5 seconds, you have no rights because everyone's a criminal as soon as they wake up the next morning. Give me a bunch of ones if you understand that concept. That's why I support the idea of appointing or electing politicians who delete laws instead of passing laws. Deleting laws is where we need to go to have freedom. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. We need to be electing people into political office who believe in deleting laws instead of passing laws. Less government means more freedom, and more government means less freedom. That is just how it has always been, and that's how it always will be.
That's why we should always develop parallel systems and support other people who are like-minded instead of giving money to these road pirates. Keep watching.
And move on. So I did that. Now, fast forward to now, when I got state ref again, the officer told me that regardless, you have to take your car to the state referee and get the certification. Your car is literally like flagged. You can't drive it, and it'll just forever pop up. So, yeah, I know that was a question that I was very uninformed on. I did not know, so that's why I was reaching out to you guys. As I heard, a lot of people said yes, you can just.
And a lot of people didn't know, and that's why I'm making this video, guys. So for all you young guys, like this guy who I don't know his name, but he's a really cool guy. His demeanor is so cool. Like if I was a cop and I was dealing with this dude, I would just let him go. I would not be writing this guy a ticket. That tells you how hard up these cops are. They're targeting people who normally would be their natural allies, right? Because they're terrified. They are terrified. They can't raise money. They know if they arrest a homeless person, that's not going to generate money for the city, right? It's not. They know if they arrest an illegal alien, there's a high probability they're never going to show up for their hearing. So they're targeting locals and people that have nice vehicles. That's the problem. So now there's another one that I have, another really cool video that is about a guy who's from out of state. So I want to show you they're targeting guys who are being state refed out of state. And that's a real problem because, if you modify your car in like Arizona or, you have a modded car that's legal, like in Colorado or Arizona, you drive it through California. And I'm sure some of you guys have seen this. Those dudes from Canada, they drive those cool race cars back and forth from Canada. And I guess they have a shop in Huntington Beach or something. That's a big corporation. And they constantly get harassed by police and get pulled over. And they always are going after their international driver's licenses and passports and all that. So these guys, these guys are like a new thing on the YouTube, and I'm watching them all the time. And then I started doing some more research, and I was going, wait a minute, is this happening more? And then the guy who called me the other day, and I realized, dude, this is happening huge, big time. And so people who are coming in from out of state, they literally got to go to the state ref and like pull out all their mods before they can drive their car out of the state. At least that's how a lot of cops are interpreting the statute. So let's go ahead and watch this video about another dude from out of state who is state ref, so you can see how draconian and absurd communist California has become to individual rights and freedom.
All right, guys, I know it's been a little while, but this is one video that I definitely need to make. So it finally happened. I never thought it would, but I got pulled over and state refed in the Mustang. So last week I was driving to go pick up my wife, and I wasn't getting on or anything like that, mind my own business. And I passed.
Oh, really quick, because I have, and I appreciate you have rights, cops have duties, saying you can't call a human rights an illegal alien, and next it will be your human rights that gets jacked up. So you have rights, cops have duties. So we have something called a border in this country, and we have national sovereignty, and that border is supposed to be protected so we know who's coming in and who's coming out, who could potentially be a threat, or not who's coming out, but who's coming in, who could be a potential threat to our country. And that's why we have a legal system of immigration where people can stand in line, they can take a test, we can do a background to make sure that they're actually going to offer something of value to the country, and then we let them in. But right now we're just flooding the non-governmental organizations that are funded by taxpayers are illegally flooding our country with these people, and they're called illegal aliens under the federal rules of criminal procedure. So I'm just merely repeating what they are under the law, but you can call them what you want. Being a civil libertarian, I've always supported the concept of open borders, but until we stop the flow of free welfare, free hotels, and free money for all these people that they're bringing up here, I do not support the concept of an open border, because you only want to attract the best and the brightest and people who are going to contribute. You don't want to have people coming up here who are getting on welfare and living off the system and then electing politicians based upon how much free stuff they're going to get out of your paycheck. So actually, I'm actually standing up for you, my friend. But it's okay to disagree with me. I'm not going to try to block you or something. But let's get back on track, because I want everybody to understand what's going on in California with this state ref issue.
A cop that had pulled over a Subaru, and then it looked like he was just he had just pulled him over. And I drove by, and that cop literally made a beeline right towards my car and ended up pulling me over. So, I'm sorry, I got some notes here that I had to write down. So, pulls me over and he asks for my license, registration, and then he tells me he pulls me over because my exhaust appears to be too loud. My exhaust is pretty loud, but when you're
So notice that he said it appears to be too loud. So this is a case where, and I did the research on this for all you guys who are street mod guys. So it appears as though the police actually can write you a ticket based on if they think it's too loud, even if they don't actually run the decibel check. And of course, we can get that case thrown out if they don't do the decibel check, but still most people from out of state pay the ticket. That's the point that I was trying to make. The other thing that law enforcement are being trained to do right now is to target out of towners because they don't want to get in trouble with their local constituency. Let's keep on watching.
When I'm going slow, just cruising, it's not that loud at all. So he pulled me over, and then he had gone through all these laws, and he said, pop the hood. So I popped the hood. So they're looking at it. So he called a bunch of cops for backup. I don't know why it takes 6 cops and 3 cruisers to pull me over. So they all line up behind me, and they're all started talking to me. And I'm explaining, hey, I'm not from here.
Now, guys, here's another thing that I always try to explain to my audience. So when there's 3 cruisers pulling up, you have to look at the money chain of how much money that's costing the taxpayer, right? So you've got a dispatcher, you've got the 3 cars. So you've got the car payments, you got the 3 cops, 3 cars, you're probably looking at around maybe $1,600 to $1,700 an hour just for that stop, right? Maybe more just for the one stop. And then you got to look at how much money are they actually going to generate in fines. Well, this particular law enables them to generate up to like $7,000 to $8,000 in fines. Plus they get impound fees. And we know that municipalities, they work these deals with the tow yards where they're getting a cut or a kickback. We know stories of corrupt cops who are working with these tow yards and getting kickbacks. Happens all the time. We hear the stories. We know that the Nevada Citizens Review Board has a lot of complaints. There's 900 of them, but they're so expensive to get. And we know that they'll lie and say there's an active investigation when there's not, to try to avoid turning them over. So each one of those complaints, just to get one, you're looking at maybe a couple $1,000 minimum just to get one of them. So, we know the stuff's out there. We know the information's hidden and buried. And that's another reason why I've been a proponent of setting up a foundation with BZ Watchdog to where we can start getting donations to start getting some of these records, to start holding these people accountable. But I digress a little bit, but I wanted to point that out that, you've got guys like this from out of state being targeted. His car was modified out of state. It's not registered in state. He's been given a state ref ticket that he's got to go to a state referee. And if it doesn't pass inspection, he's not allowed to drive his car. Okay. I just want you to understand that he's from another state visiting California. All right. It's like, you can't get more Nazi Germany sounding than this. Let's keep going.
My state of residency is in Washington, and my license is in Washington, and I've out of state plates. So after explaining all that to the cops, they said to me, and this is kind of like why I'm making this video, I want to pass on this information because there's a lot of misconception on this particular subject. So he said to me that any vehicle that enters the state of California, the moment it crosses state lines, it has to abide by every emissions law in California. So if you're
okay, so you just heard him say that an officer told him that as soon as a vehicle that met another emission standard in another state crosses into California, that it automatically has to comply with California emission standards. Well, I know as a civil libertarian and being a lawyer, we have a full faith and credit, and then we have the commerce clause with the feds. There's a lot of things at play here. I don't think that that's right. If there's anybody here on the sidebar who's got more experience in these cases, as most of you know, I do catastrophic injuries and some civil rights law type stuff.
I haven't done a whole lot of these vehicle mod cases because that's not an injury. But in this case, because I see the connection between infringement of unalienable rights and right of travel, it's definitely got my attention. So if anybody knows, if you have additional information on this, please share it with me. But my gut feeling tells me what that officer said is clearly a lie. And of course, I think most of us know that police have the right to lie. The Supreme Court has ruled that law enforcement has the right to lie to people, unlike you. Like if you lied to the FBI, I think you can get up to 2 years in federal prison for that. So let's keep going and listen to what this out-of-state guy with a really badass looking Mustang has to say about getting state refed in California, even though he's from out of state. Look at his car's parked. You can't even drive it.
Visiting a friend for half a day. On paper, you're supposed to alter the emissions of your vehicle to suit the needs and the laws of California. Now, do you think people do that? And that's the first thing they think of when they go to visit people in California? No, nobody's thinking, oh, gee, before I visit my cousins, I'm going to make sure my car is legal in California. Nobody does that. It's kind of like there's a gray area with that. So basically, even with out-of-state plates, out-of-state residency, out-of-state license, I still got state refed. I did hire an attorney, and I talked to him for a while because if there's anybody who's going to really know those state laws, it's going to be them. So
you'd think, but you could call 50 different lawyers on the state ref law, and you're going to get a different answer. So I'm going to tell you guys. And by the way, let me just take a look here. I Am God says, how can you believe in unalienable rights and also closed borders? Yeah, and I understand that. And the problem is how can you believe in the unfettered right to steal my money out of my paycheck and then give it to an invader who doesn't even understand the concept of the Bill of Rights, individual rights, or freedom, and just came up here for a free paycheck? Now, I agree with you. If these people were coming here and they weren't immediately getting on welfare, getting free hotels and free phones, I would be okay with that if they came up here to work or they had something to offer. But just letting someone into your community by inviting them here with a check, I think that's totally wrong. So I think you need to reevaluate what I'm saying. I believe in open borders, and I believe in a taxation system that is just. You can't have one without the other. Now, a welfare state is the antithesis of a constitutional republic. Giving people money to come up here in order to vote or change our electoral college by using the census, to me, is treason. And I think that it's something that should be disallowed. But with respect to that, guys, plead the fifth, love you, Stomper. All you guys, I think you're the best. Let's keep on going.
So we talked to them for a while, and I'm going to pass on some information. So technically, yes, on paper, you do need to alter your vehicle to suit the emissions laws of California upon entering the state. So even the attorney agrees it's stupid. I am going to be making some changes to the car to quiet it down a little bit. The other changes I'm not going to go over, yeah, well, I will have to make changes, and we'll see what the judge says.
Yeah.
The cops did not perform a decibel check. And another thing from the attorney, he had stated that cops just need suspicion or some sort of reasonable doubt that there is your exhaust does not meet the.
Yeah. So, but that's just to write the ticket, but they still have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt at trial that it didn't meet the decibel problem. But all that aside, guys, he's from out of state, and they're trying to make him comply with a California law, and they're trying to make him change his whole car. I mean, talk about draconian. It's crazy to me.
Decibel requirements of the state of California. So they don't actually need to get a decibel meter and read your exhaust notes. Mine, they did not do that to mine. They just said it was loud, and that's enough to be pulled over here in California. A couple other things I wanted to go over. Depending on the area you're in, a lot of cops really don't mess with the cars, like the Mustangs, the other like muscle cars. We're being targeted because of other certain groups Yeah, so the takeovers are pretty much ruining it for us. And the cops said they have a team dedicated to just go after cars like us.
Yeah.
Minor.
So again, that's another issue that we're facing is guilty by association. So a lot of people don't know what the takeovers are, but that's those dudes that are like doing donuts and people get hit and they fly through the air. You see them all over YouTube. So the police are now being told that anybody who drives one of these modified cars with the cool exhaust and all that, they're the same kind of people. So we need to clamp down on them, kind of the same way the police clamp down on bikers in a way. But it's easier to clamp down on these, the soy guys driving the modern soy boy muscle car guys, right? Than it is, the bikers carrying wrenches and stuff. At least that's what a lot of people are telling me. But let's go ahead and keep watching and see what he's got to say.
Their own business, not doing anything wrong. And they feel it's necessary to have a quarter of San Diego PD pull over one car. It's like they put over the radio and like all the guys are like, oh shit, we got one, guys, we got one. Let's go. They freaking empty the office to go pull me over. That's probably what happened. Meanwhile, Harbor Freight is getting robbed.
Right.
I've been in there twice. Well, I've been in there a few times, and probably about 66% of the time I'm in there, it's getting robbed by someone. Yeah. But cops feel it's more necessary to pull over cars that are not even from the state. So good job.
Yeah, well, no, it's easier to pull over a guy like this. I mean, first of all, he looks like he's got a high and tight. He's probably a Marine or a reservist. He's not going to be a threat, right? He drives a muscle car. He's got a job. He's got proper registration. It's in another state. He's not a threat. So the police are going after the soft targets, the ones who have jobs, the ones who actually contribute to society. They're kind of leaving the refuse alone because they don't have the ability to fleece them as easily, right? They still make money off of them, but they make more off of someone like this, right? You still make money from the prison industrial complex of all the other refuse of society, right? But the law-abiding guy who's trying to stay out of trouble, you make even more off of him because he's got a job and now you can dig into his paycheck, right? So that's kind of what's going on with this guy. Let's keep on watching. And then, oh yeah, Mama Lion says that old ladies are getting scammed out of a lot of money too. Well, that's been going on forever. Older people, they lose that sense of awareness. I've heard, actually, I know this from doing elder abuse law, that older people lose their visual ability to be able to recognize danger from non-danger. And they're more easily accepting of people. So somebody could be a predator. And that's why you have so much financial elder abuse going on. So you're right, Mama Lion. And it's terrible what they're doing, but they do. And, probably law enforcement goes after them too, because they're easy targets. But that's the thing. The new rule of policing is as long as you make it home safe. So how do you make it home safe? Well, arrest people who aren't a threat or try to target people who appear to be like they would be less of a threat. Like this guy. This guy is clearly not a threat. Let's keep watching.
Good job, San Diego PD. You guys did well. We'll let my attorney handle this.
San Diego PD, obviously, the guy's a Marine. I think he just kind of laid it. I don't know if he mentioned it in the video, but that's obviously a jarhead. Here we go.
And yeah, we'll see what's next. I come on, like I said, make this video because there's like a lot of hearsay, and I think, and you should be good. Then there's the law and what it actually states. So even if you're out of state, you're not really above the law. So I wanted to pass that on.
Yeah.
So I'm in the La Mesa area here in San Diego, and word of mouth has it that there are a couple of cops that basically get their jollies off by pulling over cars like us.
Yeah.
I don't usually get bothered by most cops. In fact, I usually get a thumbs up. But it's probably one of the cops that hasn't unlocked vagina yet. Probably the one that pulled me over.
Clearly a Marine.
So there's a couple of those guys that they're dedicated.
Where's BZ Watchdog? Clearly a guy that has not unlocked vagina. Freaking oorah, double dog.
Just to inconvenience us. I don't usually have any. I've never really had any issues with police officers until the other day. And like I said, I wasn't doing that. I was just cruising. And they made it their job to make sure to inconvenience my day as much as possible. So another thing I'll say is if you guys are planning on putting that louder exhaust on and you think it's going to be too loud, maybe hold off on that.
Yeah, hold
I
off.
just, it sucks. And, but, I don't want you to get fined. I may be fined. I'm going to pay it. And I don't care. I particularly don't want to fix the vehicle. And, but you also have to realize that since people can identify as animals, my Mustang here identifies as carb legal.
Yeah, well, so some of the things that Marine is saying, I think, are probably not true. I think now, if you get state ref, even if you're active duty military, I think once you come on base like Camp Penn, I think what you got to do is you got to switch over your reg for Cali. I don't think, but I could be wrong. Somebody tell me in the sidebar that you can keep your car registered out of state if your permanent duty station is, for example, in California. I think if you left your POV, your privately owned vehicle, on the base, maybe you could. But I think as soon as you went out into town, you'd have a problem because the vehicle code, I don't think there's an exception for military who are permanently stationed. So I think there might be an issue there. So that could be one of the reasons why he got the ticket. But I've got other people also call me who have been state refed. And so I found this other cool video. But real quick, I'll talk to you guys in the sidebar. Yeah, absolutely, Age Go, fight it. But the problem is, Age Go saying fight it. The problem is with fighting these things, if you're from out of state, it's kind of a pain in the ass to fight it. And then how are you going to get back into the state? Because if you do have the right to drive it out of the state, because there is a provision in the code that says you've got the right to get it back to where you came from, kind of a thing. How are you going to get back into the state? You got to fly in to fight your ticket. What if they hit you with a misdemeanor? Because that would require a personal appearance. I mean, you might be able to get an attorney to do it for you, but even then, a bunch of heavy duty misdemeanors, the fines can be up to like 1,000 or more per violation, I think. So it's very, very expensive, guys. So fighting it, I mean, I think it's better to just get rid of all the voting machines and start enforcing the Constitution. You know, have a paper ballot, hanging people who throw away ballots and try to cancel out signatures. Start hanging them, and then start, having fair elections where people can actually see what's going on instead of just allowing people to throw 1 million envelopes in the mailbox. You had no idea where it came from. So yeah, I think there's a way to do it. Now, my neighbor is playing Indian music loud. Oh my goodness. I love Indian music, plead the fifth. And I like their food too. I'm not sure about the sanitation part. Cause I've seen, some videos of like their beaches and how they, their restroom situation is a lot different than ours. But other than that, I think it's great music. Let me see here. I Am God says motion to compel proof of jurisdiction and make them prove you've been there 90 days. No, I agree, dude, but it's not just that. It's not just about the registration law. So hear me out. There's a loud pipe law as well. And they're saying that applies to everyone. And I disagree with that. I don't think that it does. I think that it only applies to people who plan on staying here, as you said, longer than 90 days. I think it's actually 20 days. If you plan on staying in California longer than 20 days, I think actually now they have a rule. Let's skim through this really quick. So guys, I wrote this really cool article on elinelaw.com. In fact, I'm going to drop it in the sidebar. I don't know if you guys can open it, but I want you guys to help me on Team MPE because I may have messed up on some of the stuff in here because I'm not a pro when it comes to these loud exhaust pipe cases, but I'm into it and I want to learn more. So I did a lot of research on this, and it looks like, hold on. So I put the California Highway Patrol attachment on there for you guys. So here we go. California Vehicle Code section 27151 talks about a modification of the exhaust system to increase the noise. And it says, if you're modifying just to increase the noise, then that's wrong. You can't do that. Well, obviously the argument is you're not doing it to increase the noise. You're doing it to try to increase the performance. The problem is, other than a motorcycle, if it's over 95 decibels, then you're in trouble. Now, so the CHP has these noise enforcement rules, and they're trying to make them applicable to every vehicle on the road, not just California vehicles. Now, as far as the timeline, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about someone who plans on staying in the state. I believe the old rule was if they plan on staying
in California for 6 months. If you stay longer than 6 months, you have to register as a resident. I believe that was the rule. And now there is a rule about 90 days. I'm trying to scroll through here really quick to try and find it. You guys probably can't see it that well. I'll try to blow it up a little bit. All right. And also there's a willful requirement. So you have to willfully have done something to modify a pollution control device. It's really about the green energy thing. And then it goes into 27156, and it even gets into the health and safety code. So you see that. So this rule isn't just like a vehicle code, Reg. They're talking about health and safety. Oh, it's global warming. We need to stop these street racers. They're so terrible, as they fly around in their Lear jets, right, to Epstein Island or wherever they're going. Now, basically, there's an 80 decibel noise. On the other hand, that would be like just to give you an idea of the sound. Lawnmower sound is basically what they're saying. That's what 95 decibels would sound like, whereas 80 decibels would sound like a garbage disposal or an alarm clock or a freight train from 50 feet away or something like that, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So let's just get into it really quick. I just want to see. Okay, so repeated or severe offenses can result in fines of up to $1,000. First-time conviction, a base fee of $25, a total bail of $193. No points, so it doesn't count towards a suspension. But again, you've got to have it state ref, which means you've got to have it demodded, basically. So getting one of those things demodded, thousands of dollars sometimes. It's a problem. It looks like I have a lot of redundancy in my article. It's not that good, but you guys, I'm sure you're going to let me know. I talk a little bit about the history of drag racing in California in here. Now, I found this one last really cool kind of video article by this dude and his girlfriend where they talk about how not to get state reffed in California. So if you guys want me to stick around, I'll play it for you and try to do some narrating. So give me a bunch of ones if you want me to keep going. I know sometimes Chili does these marathons where he'll go for like 3 or 4 hours, and I'm willing to stick around longer if you guys want to watch some more. Totally cool with me. Anything's better than sitting around watching old reruns or something, right? At least we have something to talk about. All right. I am God. I'll do it, man. And again, all you guys, like one of the things that I like about my group is I try not to get too political, but obviously being a Marine and all and loving my country, I don't like the idea of allowing foreign invaders just to come across without knowing who they are. If they're a friend or a foe. So there are some things just because of my ability to have critical thinking that I have deep thought about. But I agree with you guys on pretty much everything about individual rights and freedom. And you don't see me trying to do ad hominem attacks. And what I appreciate about my audience, like, for example, we know that BZ likes Hillary and I can't stand her. I think she's a witch. And, I get it. It's cool, but we're still bros. And that's how it used to be when we were kids growing up. Like when we go to Thanksgiving, with our parents or whatever, and at least my age group, half the family would be Democrats. The other half would be Republican. They both loved America. They both, waved the flag. It was just they had a different way they wanted to do things. And so I feel that my audience is the residual, the leftover of that era of civility. And I'm grateful to have all of you. And I certainly don't want to lose any of you as my friends or in any way try to alienate you. I'm not looking for my mods to try and block you over civil disagreements. It's just when we get into the ad hominem stuff, I just don't like that, because it's not constructive to what I want to do with all of you, which is to make America a better place and a more civil place where it's safe for all of us, especially our offspring. So I do have this really cool video that I want to share with you. And this is about how to avoid a state ref. And I kind of like this guy. It's this dude and his girlfriend, and I was really getting a kick out of it. So let's get it back here to where we can watch it from the start.
You?
Huh?
It's almost like he's been here before, right? Hey, by the way, give me a bunch of ones if you think it's cool how all the young people film everything. Are you noticing that? I'll bet you. Give me a bunch of ones if you think these guys watch Delete Laws. Check it out. That's the deal right there. Here's the deal. I think that's cool.
How's it going, man?
Good.
You you have your driver's license, registration, insurance on you?
What's the reason for the stop?
Your modified exhaust.
Okay. That is just a muffler.
Okay. Any other modifications on the car?
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
No? Nothing under the engine compartment?
No. You want to look?
After I get your driver's license.
Yeah, it's a little boring. You know, obviously you could have done a better job editing, but I pinged him at least, so hopefully he's watching this. So when I do these videos, these reacts, I try to ping the people so they know I'm sharing their deal so they can watch it. So he's making him step out of the car. I would have not gotten out of the car. Another ricer.
So I have the vehicle barred with California.
Do you have your carb sticker for your headers?
Carb sticker's all right there on the bar sticker. Everything's on all the numbers for the modifications are on the comments.
Seal Beach, my old stomping ground.
Superchargers carb legal. It is right there on the black label.
Cool, man. How long did it take you to install this stuff?
Huh?
How long did it take you to install this stuff?
It took me about half a year.
Half a year.
And I did the correct way of contacting the Bureau of Automotive Repair so I could get this swap legalized.
That's good, man. Did you take it to the track lot?
I just came back from Toyota Fest yesterday. It was in Long Beach.
How was it?
It was cool. I liked it.
I've been to that a couple times.
All right, cool. You had to close your hood. Just hang tight for me, right?
All right, man.
Hey, by the way, guys, Japanese cars really are better than American cars. I'm not going to lie. I just try to buy American because I want to support my country. That's all.
I'm like shaking right now, officer. I don't know. I don't get pulled over. I know I'm a good driver. That's why I got the bar sticker. I wanted to do this right.
Yeah, look, and if there's nothing wrong, then you got nothing to worry about, right? I mean, all right. So technically, yes, you have a modified exhaust, right? That is a citable violation. I'm not citing you for that. Okay, you're not getting a citation today. I'm just talking to you.
Okay. I'm staying calm.
Okay.
I'm staying calm.
If that makes you feel better, it doesn't matter to me. But
Well, thank you so much, you jackboot thug who was going to try to take thousands of dollars from me. But since I have a plausible argument that I could win the ticket in court, you're going to let me off with a warning. Thank you so much, sir.
Look, City of Seal Beach has been in uproar about modified exhaust. So we're pretty strict on it.
Yeah.
Right. You're gonna get stopped. You're gonna get talked to. Obviously, there's other signs in the car that would be modification, which there are, but they're legal because they're carb, and you got them approved from the bar. So I commend you for doing that. Like I said, I'm not going to give.
So that's what that whole thing in my article, when you read the BAR, the BAR. So there's this like Bureau of Automotive Repair, whatever it's called. I mean, give me a bunch of ones if that's what it's called. But the bottom line is you got to, it's like having an AR-15 in California, right? Like you got to have like, you got to block the grip. You got to put like this Kydex grip. You can't drop mags. So you got to, unless you have this grip, you got to remove your bayonet lug. You got to take off your, you can't have a cage. You got to put a comp on it. If you want to have more than 10 rounds, you got to do all that, right? You got to be what they call Cal legal, right? So if you want to drop mags, you basically can't use the weapon as it's functioned for, as it was designed for. It's actually more dangerous now. California's made it more dangerous in order for it to be legal, right? Because you have to modify it to where it's legal instead of modify it to make it safer, for example, which is how these jackboot thug Marxists who run the legislature in California think. Their idea is just to make your life as miserable as possible. And that's exactly what they do if you want freedom or you want to have a good life for your family. Absolutely not.
all they care. And if you want to get that from those guys, right? And you start causing a scene with them, you know what they're going to do? You know what they're going to do, guys? Do you know?
Where are your papers, Mav? Where are they? Oh, you don't have any papers?
That's where you're going to go. The thought police are going to come and take your kids away. They're going to say, under the Safety Act, you have placed your child in danger, and we've come for your children. We're coming for your children. That's what they say in California, don't they? So you got to be careful about that, guys. Now, this particular guy, I think he was pretty cool. I kind of feel bad for him that he had to be so obsequious to this cop when he really didn't do anything wrong, and he probably spent thousands of dollars and hours and hours and hours of his time to make his car legal to where a cop wouldn't harass him. And what happened? A cop harassed him anyways.
Give you a ticket. I'm just talking to you, advising you that the exhaust is a citable offense.
Yes.
Right. I know you're not swinging this thing, but you can blame your buddies that are doing, not your buddies personally, but your buddies that are doing the street takeovers. That's why law enforcement's cracking down on the vehicle mods.
I am not part of that community. I just came to Long Beach for Tenor Fest, show off my car, you know.
I get it. No, I know that community has been ruining it for actual car enthusiasts.
Yeah.
I like cars too, bro. So you didn't need to explain when you popped the hood. I knew what I was looking at, right? But
where'd you see me, or did you just pull up behind me?
I just pulled out of the parking lot, and obviously your exhaust is kind of ear piercing, right? All right,
pretty cool.
So,
though.
like I said, I'm gonna give you a warning for the muffler.
Okay.
All right, just keep light on the pedal while you're in Seal Beach. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Do you have any questions, concerns, complaints, or anything you'd like to add to the stop?
No.
I got to tell you guys, like, so Seal Beach is just like right off of Huntington Harbor. It's like at the northern tip of Huntington Beach, and it's really a cool town. Long Beach and Seal Beach, when I was growing up, there was a naval weapons station there. We know that Slick Willie gave that to the communist Chinese, so that's gone. And then they got rid of the Long Beach naval base altogether. But when I was growing up, man, it was all military, Marine, sailors. It was a really cool place, man. There were like, I used to like going to all the Army Navy surplus stores. So it was really fun because there was always cool stuff. I always used to like doing that, you know, do the BB gun thing and go out with my buddies. And so that was super. That was a great time. But the Seal Beach police is a tiny, tiny little police force. And I do have to tell you guys, they were cool like that even when I was growing up. I mean, the guy actually was cool. He's being ordered to pull over ricers and stuff like that. The Japanese style, they call those kind of cars ricers. It's not even a derogatory term. There's like muscle cars, ricers or rockets. There's like something like what do they call it? The something or the other dictionary, like the Jungle Dictionary. I know it's on there. It talks about it. So I just try to get down with the modern day street lingo. You guys know what I'm talking about. But anyways, I know like the traditionalist chili guys are going to go, well, he's still a jerk for pulling him over. And yeah, I think you're right. But if that was just a little bit further down in Huntington, those Huntington Beach cops, those dudes are a nightmare, man. Those guys all have like degrees in psychology, and they're big bucks. They're like really high paid. And man, they'll fleece anybody who goes through there who causes trouble. So that's something you got to watch out for. You know, depending on where you are, you're going to have issues. Huntington Harbor I think it's regular Huntington Beach cops that are police that area. But Seal Beach, not bad. Sunset, not bad. Anywhere up that little strip of PCH, not too bad. You know, the cops are more watching the bars and stuff like that. That's their main source of revenue, I think. Yeah, Kinetic Customs. Yeah, man, I was hoping you'd show up, brother. All right. So now it's education time. So as you guys know, really quick, I have this article that I did. If you want to learn more about these mods and the law, if you're an out of state. So if you're an out of stater and you got state reft, take a look at this link I just put in the sidebar. It's from my website. It's the name of the article. Here, really quick, I'll share it with you guys. Hold on, let me get it up. So the name of the article is California Loud Exhaust Pipe Laws and Out-of-State Registered Vehicles 101. So, and then we'll get into Kinetic Customs and Racing because, you know, like when I was growing up, I'll be honest, like there weren't really that many like modified Japanese cars. You know, they were just starting to do that. All the cool cars were going to be like 350 Chevys, and there were like, you know, I got to live at that tail end where people were still cruising around in Camaro SSs and Chevelles, and your girlfriend's older brother was always out there in the garage with his timing gun. So I got to just grow up in that cool generation, where you could, go do broad on the neighbor's lawn and escape real quick, get wild. It was really fun. And so we never really liked the 4-cylinder Japanese cars because they didn't have that, you couldn't like make the tires like do this where the rubber comes apart, and just like, it was just cool, man. Leaving big old marks, posi traction, all that cool stuff. Like, just the coolest time, Motley Crue, right? Remember that, guys? Van Halen, 1984, Motley Crue. You had the Misfits, just the coolest bands and just the coolest cars. You got all the 50s and 60s cars. Then the 84 Vets came out. I mean, just a great time, man. So Kinetic Custom says that a ricer is an all clapped out show parts. A tuner is an actual performance mods. Okay, cool. Okay, so what he's saying is, so I'm wrong, basically. Thank you, Kinetic Customs, for correcting me, because I definitely don't want to be a dumbass, right? I want to get this right, because you young guys, I'm trying to do this video for you. Like all these videos that I'm showing, these reaction videos, these are your videos. I'm doing these for you because you're getting effed with in a big way. And I don't even think you realize that this is like communism, man. This is bad stuff, and it's got to stop. And I'm here to tell you, and I'm going to show you the law and try to teach you. But the bottom line is, it looks like if you've got performance modifications, I've got to call it a tuner. So I think all the cars that we looked at today were tuners. Is that a fair statement, Kinetic Customs? I just want to know, like, he says he's on stock internals, just tune intake and exhaust from a 188 HP to yeah. So so I had an Audi S4. It was a V8, badass. And I think it was the last year of the V8. It's the 06, I believe. And I had a GIAC, and I had on that one cold air intake, catback exhaust, man. And that thing, dude, I could smoke a freaking turbo Porsche with that thing. It was unbelievable. And I could light up all 4 tires in race mode, like just off the line. And it was just the coolest car I ever had, man. The only car that I had that was somewhat as cool was my M3, which is a BMW, but it didn't have the 4-wheel drive, and it just didn't have the torque of that Audi, man. I mean, that Audi V8 was an amazing engine. So I guess what Kinetic Customs is saying is that I was a tuner as well when I was doing that. But prior to that, I guess I've always been a tuner, but we would just build the motors, like my dad and his buddies would come over and build motors. And my dad used to drag race. He introduced me to Don Prudhomme and Don Garlitz. I used to go to the Pomona drags all the time, and we'd, get to watch the nitrous oxide cars and the blown alcohol and all that stuff. My dad had a 57 Chevy with a Hydra shifter in there, and man, it was just a cool life, So I guess that means that modernly they would call guys like my dad and I tuners, right? Kinetic Customs. Is that a fair statement? Let me know. Holy crap, a 1400 horsepower S4. So, I never dynoed that thing, dude, but I could just feel the whole thing, just the torque, it was just the coolest car. And, and I had, obviously I had the custom Pirelli P0 Neros all the way around. And I had, I think there were 40s, 24s. I think I had 24s, low profile P0 Neros on that thing. And it was just, man, it just looked so cool. Because it just looked cooler than any Audi that was on the road. You know what I mean? It was just the best. And of course we had the cool, the chrome exhaust coming out. That, how the exhaust, you can see underneath the car that it's super bright and chrome. You can just tell that is definitely a custom exhaust. No question about it, man. Those were good times, man. Cruising through Newport Beach, just, whoa. So I was a tuner, man. Woohoo. All right. So yeah, water methanol. Yeah. And, hey, you have rights, cops have duties. Do you like muscle cars too? Because that's one of my big things, man. I really love muscle cars, like torquey cars that are super loud and obnoxious. Man, they're so cool. Yeah, Stacy. Oh, that's right. Stacy, I owe you a phone call, and I've just been buried. So do me a favor, reach out, and I'll get back to you. We can talk tonight. And then I don't forget, I just get swamped, man. I have so much going on, but I do care about you guys, and I spend a lot of time with you. So I don't want you guys to feel like I'm not paying attention. All right. So
Let's see. Now, Kinetic Custom says standalone fuel management systems are crazy these days. Yeah, one of the problems that you're having with the newer cars is that they're so tuned in their own way with all these computers. You really can't do much unless it's like through a chip. And I know they detune a lot of European cars for the American market. So I think a lot of those chips, all they really do is just restore them to their factory, what they would have been in Europe, kind of a thing. And then you can press another button to make it go back into the stock mode. But in California, you do that, that might be a felony, right? They might want to put you before a firing squad, right? But if you're like a school teacher who likes to groom little kids, well, they'll probably like want to, appoint you to like the school board, right? Just the weirdest thing, right? I mean, so many parents and people like you in my sidebar are scratching your head trying to figure out what is going on in California, man. My goodness. Hey, April Rain, good seeing you. And Kinetic Customs, I love Camaros too. So is that the car that you have right now, is a Camaro? I like Camaros too. Now, I got a question for you, Kinetic. I actually did one of those things where you like rent it for a week, and I rented a Camaro, and I had a problem with the rear view mirrors. I didn't feel safe. I felt like I wasn't getting enough vision on my right and left. And I didn't like the tiny rear window. I didn't feel like the rear view mirror was enough. I just didn't. I think it was designed more for looks than it was for function, at least. But then again, like most Camaros weren't really designed for racing in and out of lanes. They were just designed for straight lines. So I was just trying to understand, like, man, the least you could do is maybe make the vision a little better. But what do you think, Kinetic? I mean, I think that the Corvette has way better rear view mirrors than the Camaro, the modern one. Hey, Jim Forbes, good seeing you, man. But the problem is, like Jim says, if you're always out there driving around in your nice, tuned car, the police might pull you over in California and say,
"Where are your papers, Mav? Where are they?" Oh, you don't have any papers?
oh man, I just can't believe you guys like that so much. Anyway, so I love Oldsmobiles. Yeah, right. What's the matter? You says rearview mirrors. F that. Visibility is overrated. No, look, I'm all about Camaros. Don't get me wrong. I just felt for me, because the way I like to weave in and out of traffic, I want to have really good rearview mirrors. If I'm going to be having a car that's fast like that, because I'm going to be tempted to want to, drive like an a-hole. That's the whole reason you get those cars, right? Let me see here. Now, you have no cops. You have rights. Cops have duty. Says every time I thought my Mighty Max was going to take a crap, I would just push it harder, and it just seemed to keep going. Yeah. I don't even know how I lost that truck. See, look, that's why you guys come on my show, is because we can talk about the police state, and then we can reminisce about better times. And by doing that, guys, we can show the younger crowd, like, wow, these guys actually did have better lives than us. They had freedom. Like, these old guys had freedom. They got to drag race. They got to have fun. The police actually didn't harass them. They didn't have a bunch of nanny staters trying to groom their children at the public schools. Like, fathers and mothers raised their own kids away from all of this police state nonsense, this grooming nonsense. We had way more freedom, right? And these younger people are craving that the natural rights, the natural thing that they're trying to breed out of us with the soy and the crap in our food. They still have a little bit of that left in their genes, and they're craving what we had. So it's so cool when we get an opportunity to come on here and talk about this stuff, because we might be able to convert someone to maybe want to make change and be an activist like us and spend their time and devote their time to trying to make the world a better place, right? Right, James Forbes? Yeah, people idle like crazy now, says Kinetic Customs. Yeah, that's true. And I love the 65 Oldsmobiles, 65 F85 Oldsmobile. Jeff, wow. Yeah, get rid of all that exhaust, man. Just like pull that whole exhaust out and just put a straight pipe on there, right? Put a cam in there, overhead cam, get that bad chicken set up, man.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. That's cool. So Stacy Parenti says, I sat on my dad's lap driving down the street at 5 years old. Yeah. And I took my daughter out for buy-in, just said, get in and start driving, you know. That's how you do it. And she just got into it and loved it. And that's how you do it, man. Now, Kinetic Custom talks about diesels and clogging the system and all that, and literally has to waste fuel to burn it out. I've seen that. Is that when they like press really hard on the accelerator and they blast all that smoke out? That's how they're clearing it out? I've seen that before. You'll see that at those Trump rallies when they drive past Democrats, they'll blast them with all the diesel smoke. It's kind of hilarious. Oh man. So now you have rights, cops have duty says when dogs in Mexico are more free than my neighbors in the USA, there's a problem. Well, you know, that's why I'm considering leaving. You know, I'd love to take my family down to like El Salvador or a third world country where they actually have freedom and they don't have the government snooping in all their business, trying to sexualize their children and trying to like tell them they can't have an exhaust pipe on their car that Gavin Newsom doesn't like. I mean, it's crazy, right? How we were a free country, and now with academia and Marxist education, we've become one of the least free countries in the world and the lowest in education. As soon as the government took over education, it started its downward spiral. And they say keep paying the teachers more money, but the quality of education keeps going down. So give me a bunch of ones if you have an idea of how we can fix it. Give me a bunch of twos if you're just fed up. And tell me if you do have ones, how can we fix it? I think it's with homeschooling, homesteading, and maybe even a voucher out of your taxes so you can take that money to homeschool your kids and get them away from this Leviathan, this political re-education camp we call public schools. Give me a bunch of ones if you think we've got to change our education system. Now, James Forbes says that we're not free. I am God. I agree with you with your one. Now, Kinetic Custom says, I am building a school and a plan on traveling following the AMA racing. Okay, well, that's cool. There is a guy, Brett Pike. He's got a program called Cubs to Bears Books, and he has a homeschooling program that he runs where they teach real education. They teach about the Republic and our founding fathers in a positive light, as opposed to how our modern school just says they're all just a bunch of racists and bad people. Actually talks about the achievements of our founding fathers and what made us such a great country. So it's a really positive thing. They don't teach you that someone's an oppressor based on their skin color or oppressed based on all that stuff's gone. Everybody's treated equally. Everybody gets a chance, and that just like Martin Luther King wanted. That's what his program teaches. Something you might want to look at for your kids. Now, Kurt Bronson, I agree. Something needs to be changed. We should reboot the whole system. Now, by the way, guys, if anybody, I know you guys have all given real deep, and I never ask you guys for money or donations. Sometimes I ask you to buy my book, but I'm not doing that right now. So when Chili got locked up, a lot of you guys don't realize that he was engaged in, heavy duty activism, and he was funding many, many, many other people's issues and cases. And now, because he's not been able to earn an income, he's having some problems. And I would appreciate it if some of you who really care about him and the message and understand what an investment that he had to make in order to win and how it's basically bankrupted him. If anybody can, help him, maybe set up a fund for him to continue supporting those causes that he's not able to maybe fund like he wanted to. Like right now, he doesn't even have a travel budget. So if anybody's got any ideas, to help out, I'm sure he's all ears. I'm just saying this as a friend. I have nothing to do with any of this stuff other than just that I'm a friend. You guys know that. I've been volunteering my time and just ultimately just started liking doing this with you guys. But if anybody can help him and can see that in their heart, reach out. There's a lot of things that we need to do, moving forward. And he's a major moving force, and he is a game changer. And I just don't want people out there to think that in any way, shape, or form that he's not interested in fulfilling all of his goals. So that being said, let's OTVO. I appreciate that. I'll tell him that. Problem is, you're so kind and so generous that it's almost like abuse to even ask for more from you. And now, you have rights, cops have duty says, I found out that elk antlers are pure bone and are separate from the skull. Elks Club Skull and Bones, your local agents comprise your local Elks Club, secret society infiltration of public office. Well, that is a lot for me to digest. So I'm going to have to get back for that one, brother. But yeah, James, Chili does rock. I think he really has made a mark, and love him or hate him, you have to respect what he's done. He has really awakened a whole bunch of people, including lawyers, to the reality of how bad some of these municipalities are and how systemic it is, the way they treat people, the way they talk to people, the way they just nonchalantly and blatantly ignore our Bill of Rights like it's an impediment, like it prevents them from getting a paycheck almost, and how disgusting that is. And that's why I keep telling you guys we should be developing parallel systems where we work with one another and people that we like and trust, and we only do business with those people. And that way the other people who are trying to force us into their demonic Luciferian system will now be forced to capitulate if they want to do business with us, instead of us being forced to do business with them. And that's kind of what's been happening. Like, for example, why would you even use Facebook or Instagram, right? I mean, come on, those people, they support the deep state. They have nothing that's good for us. So stop supporting them. Start your own social network. That's what I'm getting at. It doesn't have to be like some conservative network, right? Because that's going to alienate you, but it could just be we could start our own forum of just like-minded patriots who want freedom and to be left alone to our own devices. There's things that we could do, guys. Trust me. Anyways, I think that hey, April, thank you guys for the comment. You guys are all too kind. I'm just a regular guy who's got a couple of kids, and I don't know how much time I've got left, and I want to make the world a better place. And it's always cool when I meet a couple of people throughout in my life who I don't have to agree on everything on, right? I mean, I hate it that we have such division where if you support some of Trump's policies, that makes you an evil person. Or if you support some of Sleepy Joe's policies, which I can't think of any that I do, that would make you an evil person. But you get my point. I don't think you're an evil person if you support Dementia Joe. I don't think you're an evil person if you support Trump, right? The Orange Man, or whatever you want to call him. What matters is, do you understand the concept of natural law? John Locke. Do you understand Hobbes? Do you understand the great Leviathan and the threat of any centralized government or power over the rights of the individual, and how individual rights are so important? And without individual rights, you have no minority, you have no rights. You have to respect the rights of the individual. Democracy basically is mob rules, where the republic, the rights of the individual, are forsaken. And that's why our founding fathers specifically spoke out against it. And so that's why I'm always on here trying to tell you guys, man, we've got to go back to those systems that worked. The banksters are the ones who basically destroyed a lot of the republic. We need to reclaim that. And now's a good time to do it, guys. I mean, there's going to be a worldwide financial collapse coming. I mean, we're $75 trillion in debt. Now the BRICS thing is happening where we no longer have a petrodollar. That happened just recently. I mean, there's a lot of problems coming. And if we don't start supporting each other and really being serious about it, we're going to suffer. But if people in my group, Team MPE, start helping each other now, we'll be in a situation where we're all going to survive and maybe even thrive. And that's the point that I'm getting at. But you can't do that unless you develop a parallel system. So April understands. They all understand. And Kinetic Customs, more power to you, bro. I slept on park benches when I was trying to become a lawyer with no law degree or undergrad. When people told me I could never do it, that I'd never do it, you're just a failure, this and that. And so being homeless and coming up, and I wasn't really homeless. I had money. I just didn't want to spend it because I needed that money to eat while I was working for free at these law firms and stuff. So I really, really, man, just like spread that penny, man. Frugal. Anyways, it's the same thing, right? Pretty much. You can't afford to play. So I stayed at the Yes Center in Venice Beach. It was like I stayed in like a closet. They had this room that was like, they had all these closets that were like double-decker closets. It was the weirdest thing, almost like a squad bay in the Marine Corps. And it was just a bunch of hippies, and I stayed there for a while. Problem was everybody was always stealing my food out of the communal fridge. So much for communism, man. Trust me, it doesn't work. There's always one thief or criminal that ruins it for everyone else. Anyways, yeah, man. So I get it. So that whole homeless thing, and you figured out a way to make it happen, man. And now you're doing modified badass cars. So more power to you, Kinetic Customs and Racing. By the way, everybody, if you need anything that's car related, if you're like a race car person or a motor car person, please reach out to Kinetic Customs and Racing, because even if he's not selling it, like me, he'll find someone else in that realm who can help you. Like, for example, even if I'm not licensed in your state, got a problem, reach out. I'll try to help you find a lawyer friend of mine in your state who can help you. Same thing with Kinetic Customs. If he's got car parts that he can get for you, or some kind of a mod that you need, even if he's not selling it, reach out anyways. And maybe you can get it through him, I think. And then I'm happy that you're out of the closet. Hit that like and subscribe button. That's right. Hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks, guys, for supporting the channel. So anyways, I'm getting a little bit tired now, guys. I have to make a bunch of shorts now. So from this video, basically this video today, I'm going to try to reach out with shorts to that young custom car crowd, because look, I'm trying to get the younger people who want freedom and liberty to listen to us, guys, because they don't know what they're missing. So, and I think you guys should be thinking about that too. Like, we're all dying. We don't get the younger crowd, we're screwed. All the stuff we're doing is just for naught. We got to like make a change, you know. That's why I keep telling you, parallel systems. So look, that's a parallel system. All those guys with their modified cars, cool as hell. You can tell every single one of those dudes was legit. Every single dude, those videos that we saw, from the Marine down in San Diego, from the one kind of guy, Mexican dude with his girlfriend, who had all the right paperwork, and the Seal Beach cop just let him go. He was totally chill there, right? Chill. Heck yeah. And then you had the other guy, you know, at the very beginning, who basically was hit with a misdemeanor, guys. You know, a total dickhead cop just messing with this guy. So those people, those kids, those are our people. Those are people who understand what the jackboot feels like, that stamps your face forever, that Orwell warned us about. And it's right there for them to see it, because they're the ones who dare to seek freedom and liberty. They're the ones who dare to modify their car to have a little bit of fun and have a little bit of individualism and freedom. And they're getting shot down by the administrative state, by all these World Economic Forum bureaucrats, like something right out of a Matrix movie. That's what these guys are. Like, these are not real people, in my opinion. These are like a virtual world of weirdos and pervs. You know, these are the kind of people that hang out at Epstein Island. They're exactly the kind of people you never want to take advice from. They're exactly the kind of people you could never rely on if there was an earthquake or if there was a problem next door with a neighbor, right? But you know that if something happened, if you were in my group, that we would come to help. That's what I'm trying to teach you guys. So with that being said, yeah, homeschooling. That's right, brother. Thanks, Jim Forbes. With that being said, Kinetic Customs and Racing has been homeschooling and teaching some moto and some machining and gunsmithing. Outstanding, out freaking standing. So as you know, I like to build AKMS clones. Whenever I get my hands on an original barrel, I'm so happy. But yeah, that's my thing. That's what I like to do. You guys know I like to build motors and I like to build AKMS clones. I have all the Warsaw Pact that I've been able to build, and most of them have original barrels. So I'm pretty proud of that. That was really hard to do because Obama made it impossible for us to get the original barrels. He made them get cut or blowtorched in half if you wanted to get a kit. So anyways, that's another story for another day. I know you guys are probably thinking, what a crazy lawyer. This guy does stuff that only patriots do. Well, that's because I didn't grow up as a lawyer, guys. I became a lawyer later in life, and I was called to be a lawyer because I believe in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And that's why I'm here today. So now Lucky Charms, Mini Farms. I love that. Now, I don't know if I can help you or not. I do catastrophic injury claims, car accidents, truck accidents, tight handcuff cases, police shootings. I don't take on a whole lot of cases because I'm only one guy,
But as I said before, if I can't do it for you, I can at least try and help you find someone. What I ask from all of you guys is that you understand something. I do this on my own free time. I work for a law firm, and so I have a regular day job, and I do this on my own free time because it's what I believe in. And my kids, I want them to see me doing this, being an activist in fighting for freedom. So I can't help all of you. It's just too many. I get so many calls and text messages, and I feel terrible. But as a result of me becoming more popular and more people liking the channel and subscribing, other lawyers now are reaching out to me, asking me if I have any overflow, because they just assume that I'm getting all these cases, which I'm not, obviously. but occasionally I do get something like somebody got, harassed by a cop in Georgia or whatever. And so I have a lawyer friend there now because he reached out to me and saw one of my videos. So all this stuff helps, and it becomes systemic. All the stuff that I'm doing right now, we're creating a parallel system within YouTube, actually, because these videos are starting to pick up a lot of steam. I mean, some of these things that I'm doing now are picking up like thousands and thousands of views. We're over 1 million views now. I'm almost at 2 million, I think. And we're taken off. And as a result, I'm in a better position to start networking and build a bigger network for you guys. And ultimately, you guys can become beneficiaries of that. The only thing that's preventing me from spending more time, guys, is that I'm not rolling right now like I used to. If I had a couple of big cases, this is all I would do is just be on YouTube all day. But that's just not how it is. So anyways, so Stacy, I think we've already texted or something, but before I thought I talked to somebody in your family. I'm pretty sure I did, but either way, we'll talk about it afterwards. And you can always get a hold of me through BZ. And then you have rights. If you need a PI, a private investigator, start with BZ Watchdog. That dude he actually has experience doing that kind of stuff. And if you can't do the job right now, he can find you someone. And then, yeah, thanks again, Let's OTVO, for coming. And Brett Ray, hey Brett Ray, good seeing you. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna bone out. I'm just too tired, but I'm so glad you showed up. Watch the show. It's we recorded it. The first part's the best part, where I get into the lawyer reaction of how these guys got pulled over for having modified streetcars, and these are young guys, and how they were kind of doing it wrong, like when they were dealing with the cops, but how they, with some training, could be really good. And how anybody who wants individual rights and freedom, like somebody who has a customized car, they're naturally going to be allies with us. And how I think that we should start reaching out to them, try to pull them into our fold, like people who love freedom, people who want to be left alone, people just want to be part of their own clique, not be part of the deep state, the administrative state, right? People who don't want to be any part of that whole, like, what do they call it? Cultural Marxism. They don't want that. Those are our guys, man. Those are our guys. People who are free thinkers, capable of critical thought, not part of the Leviathan groupthink Borg thought that you would find on a traditional college campus anywhere in the United States, unfortunately, today. So, yes, you could. Oh my gosh, Brett Ray, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And, man, so super chat from Brett. Thanks, super chat, Brett. Oh man, I'm always wanting to leave right when the good people are showing up. Okay, so well, you're all good, but you know what I mean. Like sometimes I miss like my core guys or girls. Well, okay, so the bottom line is I need to know why Brett showed up late, because this is not good. And Brett, since you showed up late, I'm even not sure it's really you. So I have to ask you a question, Brett.
Where are your papers, Mav? Where are they? Oh, you don't have any papers?
So guys, give me a bunch of ones if that's really Brett, or give me a bunch of twos if Brett needs to show me the papers. I need to show the papers. So I need to know, guys, what do you think? Jim says, I got to see your papers. You must be an imposter. Yeah. So it's really good to see you guys, man. So you have no papers? 999. So guys, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go live tomorrow. I have a super busy day, and I think I want to go work out tomorrow night. I trained today a little bit, did a little bit of my katas, my judo.
and did some weights, but I haven't been training for the last like week and a half, and I really can feel it on my body, you know. So I need to get back into it. So I may not show up tomorrow night, but I'm going to try to split up a bunch of cool shorts for you guys about the new stuff that's going on in California, where they're really clamping down on the street racer modified cars and forcing them to do state refs and trying to impound them, and then, you know, forced sales, you know, all these storage fees, and these poor young men, you know, who are out there just trying to impress their girl or whatever, having a cool car. Now they're being targeted as the enemy. And like anyone in California who's basically not a bootlicker and bows down to the state is basically being treated as an enemy of the state. Anybody who has any kind of a modicum of free thought or any kind of free expression, any kind of critical thought, they're all leaving California in droves. The only ones left basically are the bureaucrats and the administrators, the people who voted for all this stuff to begin with. But all the people paying for it are leaving. And so I was just talking about how all those street racers and all those people with the cool cars are definitely like younger, and they have basically the same philosophy as we do, as us older crowd that hangs out in my stream. And how I'm going to try to make more of these videos and have some of these guys come on as a guest so we can teach them how to deal with a traffic stop, and maybe even teach them how to sue these local PDs for discriminating against them, for having a car that looks different, or for targeting them, right? Stereotyping them. So give me a bunch of ones if you think we're on the right track here, guys, because I think I am. I love showing the Cop Watch videos, but I think I also want to incorporate some more of these modified, you know, state ref videos in here, because I just think it's terrifying, you know, especially if one of these guys has priors, because now when they get pulled over, the cop is like at the ready because he sees priors on the klets. So, right. So it's like, that's a bullseye in the back of this guy's head. Very, very scary what's going on for the young, brave men, for the young alpha male. It's very, very scary for them. Anybody who, it's almost like communist China. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. It's almost like communist China now in California, where if you disagree with the state, you're automatically a potential domestic violent extremist who must be targeted. So give me a bunch of ones if you agree with that. So at the end of the day, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bone out right now, guys. But I do thank you, Jody Shiloh, for showing up. Thank you, Brett, for the donation. Thanks, James, for the one. I appreciate it. And you know what? It's so interesting. So really quick, you have rights, cops have duties. So this is something where I'm on board with you have rights. You have rights says out of 7 times being stopped in Mexico, they haven't asked me for identification once. Yeah, typically it's one like $20, you know, or 25, whatever. I used to surf Rosarita all the time, K38s. And that's all it was for us. You know, the federales would just mess with us and just want $20, $30. And we were totally cool with giving it to them because we were drinking beers and, you know, going to Ortega's by the sea, getting all you could eat lobster for like $3 and all you could drink Coronas or Modelos, you know, when I was like 16. So it was a fair exchange. But the key is what you have rights is saying is it's true. That's freedom, guys. That is freedom. That's what it was like back then. Like my dad used to paddleboard from San Diego across into Mexico. They were surfers, like big time surfers, and go down there and eat tacos and paddleboard back. And when he was younger than that, they used to ride their bikes all the way down to San Diego from Garden Grove and Santa Ana, all the way down to Mexico. Like they'd take food, backpacks, and they go on road trips. And their parents they were cool with it. It was normal. Everybody was outside all the time, working on cars, doing stuff. Now everybody's playing with these stupid phones. Whoa, super chat from April Rain. Thank you, April. I appreciate that. That's awesome. I'm going to tell my daughter that April Rain gave me a $19.99 super chat. I appreciate that. You know, and all I'm doing is just talking about like how it could be, guys, because it's already been that way before. You know, just take back our country. You know, just be nice to people, be kind, but don't invite people up here with another person's paycheck who might be a potential threat to your family or your children. Don't just let them walk across. That's totally unacceptable just for your political gain. But how is that fair to me, the one who's left holding the bag when my daughter gets attacked by one of these foreigners, these invaders? It's not right. It's unacceptable. So, yeah, barata. Me encanta la cerveza barata. Yeah. Sí, carnal. So, yeah. So, man, so I used to go down there and camp all the time too. And the cops down there were so cool as long as you didn't mess with them or cause trouble, right? So yeah, you're right, man. I'm absolutely right. You know, You Have Rights has some really, really great libertarian ways of thinking, and I'm on board with that. So yeah, hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure to share, and make sure to save. Press the save button. That's the really important one. That's the one that really makes these people that run this YouTube think that you like it, because you're saving it like for later to look at. So that's a big one. Yeah, man, my dad was a cool guy. He died from Agent Orange, and he did 2 tours in Vietnam. He was drafted into the Army, and he asked them if he could do a lateral transfer into the Marine Corps because he wanted to be the best. And that was my father in a nutshell. He wanted to always be the best, but he suffered from major post-traumatic stress from the war. He was a good guy. So yeah, so just remember, guys, that if you go to California, you may get stopped, and somebody may.
Where are your papers, Mav? Where are they? Oh, you don't have any papers?
All right, guys. So I'm gonna bone out. So make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because you never know when the thought police are gonna take down this channel.